There was once a little red flower who lived in a field where all the other flowers were blue. The blue flowers were not so nice to her, turned the other way whenever she tried to pass the time of day. They didn't like that she was different. It made them confused somehow. "There's no space for red in a field full of blues," they told her. So one night, the little red flower unpicked her roots from the soil and left. With a heavy heart, she turned her back on all she'd ever known and headed out alone. First she came to a forest, but the trees in the forest were high, and the leaves were thick, and no sunlight made it to the forest floor, and flowers need sunlight to live. So she left the forest and headed to a beach. On the beach there was plenty of sunlight, but the ground was all made of sand, and flowers need soil to live. Ever so tired, the flower stopped by a pot. Ever so tired, she climbed into the pot and fell fast asleep. The flower awoke, feeling wibbly and wobbly and ever so strange. When she looked around her, she got quite a shock. Oh dear, she was far out to sea. In the night, while she'd been sleeping, the waves must have scooped up the pot and carried it out all this way, to where there was nothing but sky, horizon and sea spray. Next day, she was still in the pot, bobbing up and down on that vast ocean, quite lost. A seagull spotted her, flew down to the pot, grabbed her in its beak and took her off to its nest. The gull wove her into its nest, threaded her between a piece of grass and a twig, and there she stayed stuck till the gull laid an egg, and the egg hatched to a chick, and the chick trampled her, pecked her with its beak, slept on her, once even ate a portion of her roots. She didn't like it one bit, trapped in that nest with that bothersome baby. But what could she do? She was tied up in knots. There was no way out. She had to accept what was. Or perhaps not. You see, the little red flower knew something about the midnight hour, which was when everyone slept. The gull and its mama, sound asleep, not a peep. So at the midnight hour, the little red flower pulled and pulled and pulled with all of its power, till she got out of the knot and out of the nest. And then she fell, for the nest was on a cliff edge, and down she dropped until by some miracle she landed on a ledge. And there she lay, worn out and frayed, not okay. Day came and went again, and still the little red flower lay there on the hard, unforgiving rock. And as she lay there, she dreamed of a field far away, where soil and sunlight were plentiful, where bees ruffled their bodies in her pollen, where blades of grass tipped dewdrops in her mouth. Day came. The hot sun beat on her. She was done with it all, done with the sun. She crawled into a crack to find a final resting place. Poor flower. But what's this? For deep in that crack, the little red flower found something amazing. Soil, miraculous soil for her to sink her roots into. And so it was, against all the odds, the little red flower found what it needed, soil and sunlight, in the most unlikely of places. And there she stayed and grew strong again, and spread her pollen to the wind. And there came a day, as there always will, when the little red flower was too old to go on, and so she darkened and shriveled in the sun, and brittle, she broke and blew away out to sea. And looking back, she saw that the cliff tops were covered with little red flowers just like her, and she realized that her pollen had made it there, and that those little red flowers were her brothers and sisters, and that they were waving her away from where she'd called home. And in this last moment, she saw that she was not alone, and that she was free and going somewhere new.